Hey guys, Kingpin Light here. We're gonna be looking at the lyrics for Time to Rise by VannDa. This is probably the last video I have that's gonna be covering this song. So I had the initial reaction that I did about a year ago, my introduction to VannDa. I did a revisiting video recently of me looking at it one more time, with the lens of knowing more about Cambodia's culture and just VannDa in general. And so today we're actually going to look at the English translation of the lyrics, see what I can gather from it, with the little bit of knowledge that I have now, about Cambodia and the culture, and then you guys can maybe fill me in on the stuff that I'm missing or don't quite understand. So let's go ahead and look right at the beginning of the song. It starts off with the intro with Master Kong Ne, and he says, "Time to rise. It's time to rise as high as the stars. May both men and women be blessed. To the male and female artists who seek to fulfill their dreams, go forth and open the new chapter of the treasured arts inherited from me, Kongne." So, Time to Rise, again, I'm pretty sure that what they're referring to in Time to Rise in this song is uh, the greatness and the culture, right? Especially after uh, Pol Pot and that whole thing, the whole tragedy happened where they killed a bunch of the artists and musicians of past times. And what they're saying is, let's rise again as people and rebuild our artistic kind of heritage. Now it says it's time to rise as high as the stars. May both men and women be blessed. And again, I think that's a pretty straightforward line. It just, we want to go back to the greatness that we were at before. And of course, men and women are involved. To the male and female artists who seek to fulfill their dreams. Again, that ties back to that same line where he's saying, we need to go back to creating art and kind of shining, right? And then it says, "Go forth and open the new chapter of the treasured arts inherited from me, Kang Ne." Now, what I think that's saying is Kang Ne is one of the surviving musicians of his time, and I think by bringing down that heritage and that cultural importance of the music of past and sort of the memories and being able to show some of that sound to the new people, new generations, he's giving them the treasured arts is what he's calling them, which is the art of the of Cambodia and the Khmer Empire. And so it says, "Go forth and open the new chapter," which is what VannDa's doing with his music, right? He's trying to open up a new chapter of the arts for Cambodia, by mixing some of the newer sounds with some of the heritage, some of the cultural important sounds, right? Like the instruments and that sort of thing. So that goes into the VannDa's first chorus, or not his first chorus, but I guess the chorus of the song. That I said, "Time to rise again," reiterating what he said, what Master Kong Ne said a little bit earlier. "Time is priceless, rise beyond the sky." Again, I think that's just saying we need to get on it now as opposed to waiting for, whatever else. Let's just start rebuilding now. Like Master Kong Ne, who rose beyond the stars. Now, there is a lot of references to sky and stars, and I don't know if there's some cultural importance to that or if it's just a way to say high, right? Like highly. Um, but there might be some symbolism in there that I'm not getting. Outside of like beyond the stars just means becoming great again, right? But it does that tie into the culture in any way? That's something maybe you guys can explain to me. "I do this with my utmost ability, not carelessly, but with precision." I said, "Time to rise." So again, he's repeating that line just to say the importance of it, but "I can do this with the utmost ability, not carelessly." And that just shows that VannDa does put a lot of effort and time into his craft. He tries to have a meaning, especially on this song. There's a lot of meaning and symbolism and tying in old and new together. So he uh, very obviously did this with precision. Now, "Bright as the sun a million miles away. Think like a wise man, use your brain like a boss. Grow like fungus, for what forms in my head I manifest with my hands." So, bright as the sun a million miles away, right? That's just a comparison to how bright the sun is, regardless of where it is. And that's how great I think he wants the culture to become again, or at least widely accepted, or recognized, I should say. Now, "think like a wise man, you use your brain like a boss." Again, it's not about instant gratification, it's about planning and plotting ahead of time, right? grow like fungus, which means they grow no matter. Fungus grows, right? That's what they're known for. Fungus can grow in some of the worst conditions, which maybe he's referring to the horrible tragedy that happened in Cambodia, just not even that long ago, right? Where they're growing like fungus, they're coming out of this rubble and growing again. And he says, "For what forms in my head I manifest with my hands," right? So he's a man of action. He thinks of something, but he actually goes forth and does it, as opposed to just talking, right? Like just sit there and talk all day. All right, so we got verse 1, VannDa and Master Kongne. Though Master Kongne, at least in this translation, doesn't have a lot of lines, but I'll point out the ones that at least they wrote down for this. Now he says, once before the Khmer Empire was magnificent, the Emerald of Asia, and we watched the video that showed Cambodia's past and history, so it does show it. I was able to see the progression of the empire, I think we kind of covered how that was. Now we have VannDa, the Khmer of the past were illuminated. We have art in our souls like the sculptures on our temple walls. So VannDa is taking on the mantle of the old Khmer artists and musicians and just culture, or like artistic sort of cornerstones, right? So he's taking on that mantle, is what it's really saying there. And then he's talking about Angkor Wat when he says like the sculptures on our temple walls, or at least I assume that's what he's referring to. Now, since Sisamouth, Ross Sarasothia, Penron, Mia Simone, legendary musical artists. You guys did mention a lot of that in the comments, so I'll skip over a little bit. Art is the soul of Cambodia. View those artists as you would view the sculptures of our temples. And that's just showing just how important art is in general, right, to Cambodia and in the lost arts. And I think being able to rebuild what was lost or at least hidden for a while. Respect them as teachers to defeat your enemies. Open a page in history, and I show those who prefer ignorance. You hear me? So I think he's talking about some of the past conflicts that Cambodia has been in, where, and this is in war in general, one of the biggest things that people do is destroy art to try and destroy the culture, slowly erode it away to try and take over. And, sadly, that's what happened to Cambodia as well. And I think that's what he's trying to say there. They're trying to break my soul, but I've mastered my embodiment. While they stack the cash, I am the collector. I collect the inspectors. Right, so history, they've tried to break Cambodia's spirit, and what he's saying is it's not going to work. Now, they might lose control, because before I was like a rag, but now I am silk. As in, he came from the dirt poor, and now he's a big superstar, right? Rags to riches is basically what he's saying there. I mix the ancient with the modern seamlessly, create the best flavor, and turn it into profit. And that's what he's done in so many of these songs, right? He's been able to blend that cultural important music, especially on this song, where that's sort of the whole point of the song, with this newer trap sound, this newer rap sound, and his flows and that sort of thing. So that's what he says there. He's able to mix those two, and make money doing it, which good for him, Now, Master Kongne says this, let me explain it for whom it may concern. That line in itself is just a follow-up to something else, but I'm assuming it's following up to VannDa's next lines where he says, don't steal your don't still your heart, chin up and persevere, as in don't give up, keep going. There's so much knowledge that you still don't know. Who will inherit it if you remain in ignorance? And that's about keeping traditions alive, keeping cultural knowledge passed down through the generations, being able to teach the next set of people everything that you've learned, but just even not just knowledge, but also just art, right? Being able to, because art is sort of an expression of the times and of the people and what they're feeling and what's happened and that sort of thing. So it's just as important as knowledge if you know how to decipher it. And it really is just knowledge, just through a veil of artistic expression. Don't make a false offering if they don't value you. Escape into the jungle and be as the lion. So be free. Don't stay under control of people who don't really care about the culture or the past or the people. If you find yourself in the river like the crocodile, stay above the water on floating wood. Just keep trying to survive. I think these are just more metaphors using animals. He said go in the jungle, be like the crocodile, be as the lion. And then this next line, he says, be as the flying fox. Pull it, push it, hold on to what you need to. So that one, again, is another metaphor using an animal, a commonly found animal, I'm assuming, in Cambodia. I'm not too sure. To explain another way to survive, really, or just to keep persevering. Don't abandon your dream. Hold on to it till you're out of breath. Again, keep persevering. Keep going forward, never retreat and rush in. You must achieve it as if you have one life. You will see how much remains of you. And again, these are just more lines explaining why you need to just continue doing what you want to do, what you love to do, and eventually it'll all work out. And just don't give up. It's always going to be tough. But I think it's also a secondary meaning of just Cambodia as a people, the Khmer people, right? It's just keep persevering. We're going to rebuild and keep moving forward. Because I see a lot of ties. I mean, he says it here, right? There's a lot of ties onto recent history and the stuff that happened. And so it's sort of almost a motivational thing for like, hey, we can rebuild and we haven't lost everything. You know what I mean? You must achieve it. I'm sorry, pave the way and move forward, even if there are obstacles. Never in my life did I think that I couldn't do it. Champion as always, I defeated those demon thoughts. So now he's given an example of how he is doing what he's telling you guys, and not you guys, but the audience to do, which is persevere. He had these demon thoughts. He always maybe doubted himself or saw these obstacles in his way, and he didn't give up, right? He championed through, and look where he is now. So he's sort of trying to give that mindset to other people and to explain, hey, just keep following your dream. And now Master Kongne jumps in and says, brothers, sisters, uncles, and aunties, I am Kongne and I would like to testify. Shape Dong Veng, Lakhan Basak, Aya and Shape. And it says Khmer traditional operas. So I think maybe he's saying that he was able to see those being created, or maybe just remembers them, and he's passing down the memory, basically the memory and the stories down for other people. And he says, hey, listen, I'd like to keep these in the forethought of people's minds, right? We don't want to lose these classical operas. And then VannDa jumps back in and says, modern music of the youth, a generation over the age of 20, they want to fly like the birds. And maybe that he's talking about the trap and the rap and the newer sound that he uses, and how it's the sound of the new generation, right? But it's also a way to free yourself and to have sort of an artistic expression and be able to explain our generation. And I say our because I'm pretty sure I would be in his generation. I actually don't know how old VannDa is. You know what? I've never looked this up. Let me check right now. On the Cambodian age. He's 25. He's my age. We're the same age. That's awesome. I'm older than him though. He was born January 97. I was born November 96. So I'm actually his elder. All right, let's keep going. So we're and then Master Kongne jumps back in. He says they are flexible with the sounds of modernity. I don't know how to say that actually. I think it's misspelled on this translation. The way it should be, I think it's modernity. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. But either way, modern sound and evolve it with our tradition. Again, that's the whole point of the song, right? Is being able to blend the old and the traditional with the new and the modern. And then VannDa comes back in. Rearrange and reproduce with the tip of my pen. I'll produce perfection with dignity. And really, he's talking about his skill, right? It's a very fancy way of the way a lot of rappers do, where they're like, I'm the best alive, or I have this skill or whatever, right? Like I'm really good. But he wrote it like super poetically, really. And then he says, I want to know who will applaud when I rise. Yeah, now we know the champion of the kingdom leading us to our evolution. And while it sounds like he's talking about himself leading uh, the kingdom, basically being the champion of the kingdom, leading Khmer people to evolution, I think what he's really talking about is art in the new generation in general. And it may be a double meaning, but the way the whole song has been written, that line sounds more like he's talking about a general set of people as opposed to himself only, while it can also be taken as himself. Now, that may be an artifact of translation, and in the traditional language, or I'm sorry, in Khmer, it comes across uh, differently, basically, right? Because different languages use you, I, we differently, and so sometimes it's easier or harder in other languages to know what's being referenced. But at least in the English translation, it sounds to me like a general set of people, a generation is being talked about as opposed to just VannDa. Let's see. So it goes back into the chorus, which we talked about. I said, time to rise, time is priceless, so on and so forth. So we're going to jump right ahead to the verse 2, where he says, I shine like the stars rising above the sky. Everyone want to be like me. Right? He's doing amazing. But again, another reference to the sky. So it makes me wonder if he's staying on theme, but the theme is his choice, or if there's some other symbolism in there outside of the obvious metaphor that being in the sky means you're higher than everybody, you're doing great, that sort of thing. Lines flow from my head, they are sharp like a saw, just like a decree received from the king of the empire, the one and only poet. I spit my lines fast like an eagle. He's talking really about his skill, right? He's able to think of these lines, they come out sharp, as in well written. um, I'm not sure what just like a decree received from a king of the empire, the one and only poet. So it's like it's a metaphor talking about, it's like if the king made him the one and only poet, but I'm not entirely sure how to read that. And it says, I spit my lines fast like an eagle, metaphor, right, for how his flow and how fast he can actually spit or rap. 4G or 5G, on VD, on VD, on VD, on VD, on VD, on VD. I don't know what the 4G or 5G means. I actually don't know. Speed, maybe? He did right before say, I spit my lines fast like an eagle. 5G is much, much quicker than 4G, but it may not even be cellular uh, network terms. It may be something completely different. But to me, when I hear 4G or 5G, I think of phone connectivity, right? Cellular devices. On VD, on VD, on VD. I'm assuming VD is just VannDa. Could be something different. A revolution of music for a new generation. On VD, on VD, on me. So he's evolving the music, right? He's taking the traditional, like I've said before, and blending it with the new rap and the new sound. And again, not sure what VD, but the last part says on me. So maybe he is saying on VD is VannDa. Came from a distance too far to turn back now. Told my mom to come and spend $100 bills with me. And again, I think I mentioned this in the video reaction, but I think what he's talking about with the $100 bill is the $100 that he had to go into the city from his hometown. That's all he had to his name, and try and make it as a musician. And his parents, it sounded like they were supportive, but they were like, "What are you doing, dude?" You know what I mean? Like that's a crazy. It's risky. It's risky to just leave your hometown with a certain amount of money and just be like, "I'm gonna go and make it in music," right? And that's what a lot of artists do, a lot of musicians do, but it doesn't always turn out good. So it is a risk. But now he's saying he's got enough. Like, hey, mom, come and spend this money with me. You know what I mean? Like, I got the money. Some couldn't believe it, but now they shout to the heavens, "Oh God!" Again, some people didn't believe in him, but he made it, and now they're like, "Well, damn, I should have been on that train ride." I walk slowly, but I don't fall behind. I walk slowly, but I don't fall behind. So it sounds like he walks confidently. You know, slow and steady wins the race. I don't know if that adage translates to Cambodians. Actually, I never thought about that because it's definitely an American saying. But I think that story may be worldwide. So basically, if it's not something that you guys say, slow and steady wins the race, it just basically means if you stay consistent versus speeding and then maybe taking a rest or not just being as consistent, wins the race, right? Based on the old story where the turtle and the rabbit or the hare raced, and the hare was so far ahead because turtles are slow. He took a rest, halfway, went to sleep halfway through the race, and eventually the turtle just made it because the other guy got cocky, right? So slow and steady wins the race. Anyway, I don't even need the fortune cookie, Maneki Neko, and I'm assuming that's some sort of uh, religious or cultural, because I do know the fortune kitty exists in Japanese lore as well, right? Or some Nico general. I know that from playing Persona games where they use a lot of different cultural and stories and tales and those sort of characters, religious characters, all into this game where you can actually like capture them like they're Pokemon and fight with other people. Um, but I have seen that and I thought it was a Japanese lore thing, so I'm assuming it's just a reference to some sort of cultural or religious figure. And then it goes back to the chorus. So yeah, guys, that's my lyrical breakdown, I guess. My attempt at it, I should say. I'd love to hear from you guys how well I did, what I missed, and what I got wrong, and basically learn from this. And this should be, I don't know, if you guys have another song that I've already reacted to, and you guys would like to see a lyrical breakdown in the same format. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong finger, man. If you guys would like to see it in the same format, let me know, and I'll definitely get on it. I'll add it to the list of upcoming videos because I do have a long list of reactions to get through. Where, you know what I mean? Like, I have a growing list of reactions to get to, so I have to sort of pick times and all of that. And I think maybe on the weekends, I might just start doing a bunch in a day, maybe 3 to 5 in a day, because I think it's possible. Maybe not every weekend because I got stuff to do, but some weekends I think I could probably do that. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll catch you on the next one.